Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Tinnitist TV for 2022. Personally, I can't think of anyone better to start with than the eccentric American troubadour Johnny Dowd. After all, he's basically living proof that it's never too late to start over. This 73-year-old American singer-songwriter didn't release his first album, Wrong Side of Memphis, until he was nearly 50. Hell, he didn't even start playing guitar until he was in his 40s. But since those humble beginnings, he hasn't looked back. And this late bloomer has certainly made up for lost time, releasing more than 24 live and studio albums in about as many years. Most of them feature his rough-hewn, idiosyncratic blend of alt country, blues, southern soul, and garage rock, all topped with his deadpan, hickory-twang vocals and off-kilter, black-humoured lyrics about love, lust, family, death, and religion. His latest album, Homemade Pie, which came out on New Year's Day, is no exception. Recorded at his home studio with his longtime touring band, this back to basics affair features a batch of ramshackle nuggets about traveling salesmen, Trump, Jesus, and Jerry Lewis, along with pie, of course. A few days after the album's release, the grizzled, slow-talking Dowd and I had a great rambling Zoom chat about songwriting, recording, politics, his campaign to bring back postcards, and a lot more. Enjoy. So, Johnny Dowd, welcome to 2022. How does it feel so far?
Pretty good.
Yeah? What was your New Year's Eve like?
My New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve day, we built a fire outside and stood around the fire with my sister and niece. New Year's Eve, I don't think anything occurred that I can remember now.
Well, New Year's Day, obviously, big day. You put out a new album. What was the why New Year's Day? What was it behind that choice?
I don't know. You'd have to ask my sister. It was her decision. I think it was supposed to come out a month earlier, but we had done that Christmas record, so it just seemed like too quick to have two big CD releases, a month apart. So, but since everything's just online, it doesn't really matter, in a way.
And now you're like you're out of the blocks as the first guy, with a CD in 2022.
Right.
Early bird gets the worm, right?
That's what I'm
Uh-huh.
what I'm hoping.
Well, you know what they also say though, the second mouse gets the cheese, so you could go either way, right?
Well, I got another record I could put out, so
Really?
no one likes this one. I just,
Wow. So you have a backlog of stuff? You are that prolific?
Oh yeah, I got hundreds of songs recorded.
No kidding. All right. So let's talk about this album then. I mean, are these all songs that were written around one period of time, or are they? How do you decide then which songs are going to go on an album like Homemade Pie?
Yeah, they were all written and recorded during the whenever the first lockdown was, the
Okay.
initial. So I think that was in March.
Of 2020, you mean?
Of 2020, I guess.
Yeah. So like way back. So these songs are almost 2 years old, give or take.
That doesn't sound right.
No.
Anyway, they were recorded at some point in time in the past, and all at one sort of, I was tired of making a new record, and there was nothing else to do. That was a lockdown thing, and so I was just trying to think of something I could do album-wise that I haven't attempted, and then I realized the thing I haven't attempted in years is just a sort of a regular singer-songwriter just simple arrangements, simple instrumentation, simple songs that I hadn't really done that in years. I pretty much went down the rabbit hole of drum machines and electronica and whatever. My choices would be whatever is the weirdest sound, that's what I would go with, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And this record was just the opposite. It was like the one rule I had was if I have a good idea, don't use it. Just go with the obvious,
Uh-huh.
Because that's what, a country song, chorus is going to follow a verse and there'll be a pedal steel break. And well, we'll talk about old country,
Right.
There's a formula and you just fitting your thing into the formula. And that's the challenge of it. Since the formula is so set, can you do anything interesting in it? Whereas before, I was kind of destroying the formula, so you couldn't. It'd be really hard to judge. Say, well, that's a good song. It's like it's not really a song, It's just a collection of sounds. But these are actual songs, so somebody could say, "I've heard a song like that, and it was better than the way." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it.
So if you have the concept first, then you wrote songs sort of to go with the concept. That almost seems backwards in a way,
No, I usually go with my concepts, kind of a highfalutin word, but just the general idea. And I hadn't really sat down in a long time and just tried to write a straight up song with like those other albums, the last few albums, they would start with a recorded drum beat.
Yeah.
And then I would just layer stuff. Whereas this was just like sit down with the old acoustic guitar and strum a G chord and try to come up with some lyrics that were heartfelt.
And was it easy to sort of shift gears like that? Was it like riding a bike that, you just get back up on and do it?
Yeah, it's a lot easier. It's really something that's easy for me to do. That's kind of why I got away from it, because I felt like, well, you should challenge yourself. But then I started thinking, no, maybe you should just do what you do easily and best instead of trying to reinvent the wheel every time. So that was my mindset at the time.
And so once you started doing that, did the songs come fast and easy, or yeah? So how long would you say it took you to put this all together as a writer?
I say I usually would. I mean, for most of the songs that I write, like the first, I'll get 90% of it right off the bat, in a few hours.
No kidding.
And then it's tweaking from there. Yeah, it doesn't. I'm not good really at the detail of stuff, like improving stuff. I'm more like get the initial thing, and then it would change some as we recorded it. But because, like I say, there's a formula, that you're plugging into, and writing lyrics is pretty easy for me. That's the easiest part.
I've heard you talk about that. I mean, is that how much of what you write is autobiographical and how much is fiction and how much is kind of borrowed from somewhere else?
Just a blend of those three things. None of it, a lot of borrowed stuff, a lot of the autobiographical stuff is just stuff that will sort of sneak in there that I might not even realize until one night I'm performing it and I hear a line, I'm like, oh shit, that's about me. I shouldn't be saying that if this is not Facebook. I shouldn't be saying that in public, you know. So when the line gets blurred between the singer and the songwriter thing sometimes. But that's good. I mean, that's for the real, you know, but I can't approach that directly. I could never like, well, sit down and write a song about your feelings about anything. I'd be like, I can't write a song about that. It's not that, it wouldn't be that interesting. And it would be too gray. You know what I mean? It'd be full of qualifications. It'd be, well, I think this, but you know, sometimes you know, and then well, you know, it would be like a sort of indie rock thing, like just full of. And I like to write a song. I like to have a pretty definite point of view, like you broke my heart, or I shot you, or this or that. I don't. You know, it's not a novel. You can't really get too much into the nuance of it.
Do you start with a title, or do you start with just the first line of the song?
I think I had the title would come on last, and then I would either. Sometimes I would try to make a title that sort of didn't connect with the song in any way, but on these I try to keep it pretty straightforward. Like some, you know, song mentions homemade pie a bunch of times, so I call the song Homemade Pie. Like I say, I was just trying to go for the like, don't be clever, you know.
Isn't that the whole point, though, to be clever?
But not so you can seize it, you know. That's the thing. I feel like some of those other records, it was like you'd listen to it, say, that guy's pretty clever. So what? You could see that, you know, you can see. I feel like I listen to it, I can hear the effort to achieve an effect. Where with these songs, I would want the effect, like, you know, like a great song, like, you know, a Bobby Bland song or something, you know, you don't see, you just experience it. It's just all so right. There's nothing that's going to like make you think, oh my God, that's a weird guitar sound or something like that.
So the trick is to be clever, but not look clever.
I think it really is. It's not so, it's the other word. What's another word for clever? You know, more. It's more just, it's just clever in the sense of like a carpenter can make a table. You know, you call it cleverness, just craft, just knowing this has worked 1,000 million times before. That chord progression, that drum beat. And it's like, you know, just take, you know, don't look the gift horse in the mouth. You know?
Right. So I mean, I've heard you say that anybody can write a song, and anybody can write a good song, but it's really hard to write a great song. How many great songs do you think you've written? Or what's your percentage, say, out of all the songs that you've written?
Gosh, I don't know. I because by great, when I think of a great song, I think of something like James Carr singing "Dark End of the Street."
Sure.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
Nah, have I written anything? I think I may have written some, but I haven't sung them. Like I think I've written some songs, a few songs that a great singer, if you're a great singer sing it, you'd be like, holy fuck, that's a great song. You know, but I think since I'm not really a great singer, I can't really have a unique style. but it sort of prevents it from going into the, to have a great song, you really have to have a great vocal. And I've never done a great vocal.
So part of it's in the performance for you. It's got to be.
It really is. It really is. So, I would say maybe I've written some great songs, but they haven't been performed up to the thing vocally.
Can you think of somebody who you would like to hear singing one of your songs?
Oh boy, lots of people. You mean people that are alive?
I don't care. People alive, dead. Who would be the sort of ultimate, somebody you would love to have record one of your songs?
I could hear somebody like James Carr or Otis Redding, some soul singer singing. There's a couple of songs on this record, like Silk Scarf, that they could do that's sort of it falls into that kind of country soul thing where country and soul were kind of mixed up there, I think they do. And then some country songs, like I could hear some country songs I've done, somebody like Conway Twitty, somebody of that sort of realm to do, maybe different, obviously the arrangements, not necessarily to the music on my record, but with that kind of a thing.
Yeah, you're not a guy who gets covered a lot, though.
No, because then I think it's because of the vocal thing. It's like, what the fuck? People, a song really is basically just a vocal melody. If you could wipe all the music out, and a great singer, Ray Charles, could sing that melody of, God Bless America, or George, whatever it would be. And you got the song there. The rest of it's just added in.
Right.
And I don't really have that melodic. I can't do, I'm just not good with the melodic thing. If you took the music out of my vocals, it would sound just like this.
I guess a little more rhyme, right?
I could put a bunch of music behind this interview. It would be like a normal Johnny Dowd record.
I dare you.
All right. I'll do it.
All right. I'll look forward to that. You send the royalty checks to me.
It'll be the first
musical interview.
That's gonna be kind of interesting, because you can have like on my side, on your side it'd be string, or you know what I mean.
I'm up for this, Johnny Depp. Johnny Dowd.
We can't talk over each other though, because it'll fuck up the music. Well, whatever.
Well, you can take it. You can cut it up and do it.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right. So, talking about some of the songs on Homemade Pie, "Rise Up" is pretty political for you.
Yeah, that was kind of right at the height. I actually, like, we've been doing the song live. We did some little tours around the States, and I changed the line to I dropped out the "fuck Donald Trump" thing. I think I just said,
When you do it live, you don't do that line?
Yeah. I changed it to some blah blah. Don't let anybody treat you like a fool. It's sort of political. I was doing a tour down south, Mississippi and Tennessee and stuff. I was like, it's not like I was afraid to say the line, but it was just like, for a lot of the audience, it's like, that's so strong that they wouldn't, I think maybe their heads would fucking explode or something, or you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. And I don't like singling out, but it's like, fuck Adolf Hitler, fuck Mitch McConnell, fuck, fuck John F. Kennedy, fuck all of them. If you know what I mean? I'd rather just generalize and just fuck, period.
Fuck politics is kind of what you're getting at.
Politicians.
Because I was wondering about whether you were concerned, because a lot of artists are really, reluctant to weigh in one way or the other, because no matter what you say, half of your listeners are going to be pissed off, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I don't have, I mean, my commercial market is so small that I'm not really concerned on that level. But, I grew up in Oklahoma, Tennessee. I still have a lot of friends down there, and there's a good portion of them that are straight up Trump.
Yeah.
Or, some, and they're good people,
Right.
They give you the shirt off their back, but that also probably, shoot you in the fucking head, if you go either way. Right. So I just say more, I can't really get into like the whole thing, like fuck all these Donald Trump supporters or animals or crazy, it's like, I see that and things are crazy, but I see it more like, they got the COVID of the mind, and that's just something that's been spoon-fed from politicians going way back. That stuff didn't start with Trump. That's been that falsification of American histories been going on since,
right.
They fucking won, So
well, you also say my country is gone.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I don't feel that entirely, but part of that's just an age thing. I think everybody's sort of, it's like these damn iPhones, or Zoom. You know what I mean? There's just a part of me that's just like, what the fuck, It's like a computer in my car, guitar, the car's talking to me. Fill up your time, it's just like, I'm not comfortable in the, because I don't know it. It's like when cars came in and replaced horses, should be really, same. So I don't take that too seriously. But then there's also a part of it that's like, there is a feeling out there of when people talking about the end of the world and shit. There was none of that talk when I was coming up. I mean, there was problems, but nobody was talking about the end of all humanity.
Well, I mean, you had Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, there were things, right?
There were things, but there were things that were easily corrected if you didn't, if Khrushchev didn't, you know what I mean?
Right. As opposed to climate change or something.
Yeah, if you have some confidence in humans having any, but it's like, the whole global warming thing, which I'm not saying it is going to be the end of the world, but it's definitely not easily corrected.
Right.
It's just like getting people to get vaccinated. You would have thought, well, that's easy. Get a shot and then you don't die. It's like, okay, but it's like us human beings have an infinite capacity for fucked up thinking and genius at the same go along with this same track. That it's quite strange.
So let's switch off of politics for a minute. I wanted to ask you, on the song Ladies, I hear Jerry Lewis.
Oh yeah, that's a total Jerry Lewis.
Okay, thanks. Because I thought, geez, are you going to get mad at me if I say Jerry Lewis?
No, that whole song, the way it started, was it actually was this other band we were playing, and like no one ever, we never had anybody at the gigs, maybe. I mean, nobody, just the people that were already in the bar. Kind of thing. So we'd always start off and say, I can't hear you. There's no, nobody's paying anything. And say, put your hands together. It's nothing. And at the end, the lead singer would say, where are all the ladies? They would start the songs. There was a really cool intro that no one ever actually caught, It was sort of I guess, in joke.
That's a good one. So you recorded this at home. I mean, I guess you've been recording everything at home for quite a while now, pretty much. But is that, I mean, have you done it for so long now that to even go in a studio would be like, why bother?
No, I said mostly. For some things, I would say, why bother?
Mm-hmm.
But some things would be helpful. Like I did record this, a few months ago, when I was in Memphis. I recorded like 3 songs at Sun Studios, and I hadn't really recorded in a studio in a long time. Man, it was fucking great. Sounded great. And you got people there. Like, for me to record takes a lot of, I don't really know. I'm just sort of randomly pushing buttons until something actually, I don't do Pro Tools. Some a friend of mine does that. So I'm not really, there's a lot of messing around. Just trying to do it technically. Joe was nice, being in the studio, and there's a good sound engineer there, and he's like fixing everything, Are you comfortable? Is the mic the right height? Like, I don't know.
I find it interesting though, because I mean, you've often said that you don't think you've gotten any better at what you do than you were when you first started doing it. I've heard you say you don't think you're a better songwriter. You don't think you're a better guitarist. You talk about, how you don't really know what you're doing with all these machines and all that.
Right.
I mean, is that, what's behind that? Because, I mean, are you actively like trying not to get better or what?
No, I think I was just good right out of the fucking chute,
Oh, okay. That you started up here is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, partly because I didn't start until I was in my late 40s.
Right.
And most songwriters, they start out, they're 16 and 17. And it's like, so you get a lot of music that way from guys that are, 16 to 23. That's the career of most famous rock people.
Sure.
And that's a good period of life. But there's a certain number of experiences. But by the time you hit like 50, 60, and 70, you have a whole other wealth of experience that I think makes it easier to sort of eliminate what's unneeded in something.
So you think
I think from the get-go, I could edit myself. I knew myself better than I knew myself when I was in my 20s or 30s even. This is it.
Right.
So now you just have to do the thing. So, but yeah, but most musicians, and so, I mean, the Rolling Stones have not improved since Exile on Main Street. And that was in the first 6 or 7 years of them being together. I mean, you don't, Willie Nelson, you hear like his recordings when he was in his, he was great. He's not that much greater now. He might have written some better songs, but it's not like it's not like going to college for a degree in atomic physics, it takes like 10 years of study. And that, you know what I mean? Songwriting is not that scientific, That's why I say anybody could write a decent song if they just, somebody showed them the basics right quick. It seems mysterious until you do it, and then it's just like,
Right. But there's all sorts of, I mean, you could learn how to, I mean, I'm presuming you can't read or write music. You could learn those things. You could learn how to, write horn charts for your stuff. You could write a symphony if you wanted. None of those things
Right.
interest you?
No, they all interest me,
Uh-huh.
really. I mean, I do. I mean, just like the symphony idea, it's like I couldn't write a symphony, really, but it would be interesting to try to sort of emulate, a big classical string thing. I have machines that have string sounds and do, I mean, that's the thing that's so great about music for me is I don't feel like I've even scratched the surface of what could, what could be attempted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what could be pulled off is a whole other kettle of fish, but just the idea of trying, it's like I'm sitting here now thinking, yeah, I'm gonna go over there and see if I can find a fucking symphony. Why not? You know,
I mean, do you have sort of a mental list of things of oh, I'd like to, I'd like to do this album, or I'd like to make an album like that, or I'd like to try this or try that? Or do you just kind of go with the flow of, hey, I had an idea this morning and that's where I'm gonna go?
Well, as far as albums, it's usually like
Mhm.
I'll think I'm supposed to put an album out in a year. I mean, when I was on a regular touring schedule, you do a record, you do a tour, So then I would say that, and then whatever, because I could be into like folk music one day, and then I'll hear something on the radio, some electronic hip hop thing, and I'm like, oh shit, no, that's it. I'm always hearing something and saying, that's what I got to do.
Mm.
So it kind of depends on where that cycle hit when it's time to start making the record, because then I'll follow that. I'll stop at that point. So okay, it's
So you
gonna be
do,
electronic or whatever.
right? Do you have a short attention span, do you think?
Pretty sure.
So it's kind of the timing's got to be right of, you've got the idea to make a polka record, and
Yeah,
you've got the time to make a polka record.
yeah. And then I would just jump on that
Uh-huh.
right away. And yeah, I'm pretty.
Mhm.
I wasn't pretty good in the beginning of anything. Like I'm a fast starter.
Mm.
Like if I was playing pool, I'd sink the first ball and that would be it.
Then that's it. That's it. Your interest just wanes after that.
Well, it doesn't. It's just my mind takes over,
Mm.
and once my mind takes over in the thing, then it just becomes a jumble. But that initial thing, like I'm going to write a polka, sit down and write a polka. If I'd given it much thought, I'd be like, write a polka? What's a polka?
Mm-hmm.
Should I write polkas? I'm not German. Get into all kinds of shit.
You could write a polka.
I was YouTubing polkas all day yesterday. All the different stuff, from German to the Tex-Mex thing and all. Because that's really that beat to me. Like if you go to Europe, basically the way they film music, whatever it is, whether it's electronica,
Yeah.
jazz,
Punk rock, it's the same kind of, you speed it up a
boom,
bit.
boom,
Yeah.
chuck, boom, chuck.
Yeah.
And American music is boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shuffle feel.
Yeah.
So that's from black music.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you, you talking about going back and starting out, famously not until you were in your late 40s. I've heard you say that, and I don't know if you were kidding or if you were serious, that you went to see the band Last Waltz movie and started a band the next day. Is that
That's
honestly
true.
true?
That actually is honestly true.
So what, I mean, obviously you'd seen bands play before, what was it about that movie specifically that made you go, I can do this and I'm going to do this?
I think it was mostly where I was at in my life.
Mm.
I was getting older. I was washing dishes in a restaurant for a living. And pretty much up to that point, I felt I was living a pretty rock and roll life. It was drugs, girls, da da da.
Just without the rock and roll.
Listening to music, without playing the music, right?
Hmm.
But then I was reaching, being a cool guy. I was like, wait a minute, you're 40 something, you're washing dishes for a living, you're doing drugs, chasing girls. It's like, this is not age appropriate, unless you're in a rock and roll band. Ah. And then it was when my mind was kind of going in that way. Not thinking about the rock and roll band, just thinking I'm too old for this shit. Mm. And yet I still like it, and I don't really know anything else. How can I turn this into a living? And then I happened to see The Last Waltz. Like, the fuck? That's how you can turn it into a living. And you don't even have to do all the other shit, because people will just assume it. Mm-hmm. So you can do it. You don't have to do drugs. You don't have to chase girls or anything, You can just be up there and you just a representation. And plus, I figure that, it's got to be more money than washing dishes. It doesn't look that hard to me, It's like I never played guitar or sung or done anything. It was like, I can't see if all of these people could do it, well, I couldn't do it too. It just seemed really, looking at that band, looking at the whole thing, it looks like, and I'd always loved music. I've seen millions of bands, but I never thought of me in the context of doing it or anything. And then seeing that and thinking, this is pretty easy. I can get this down pretty much in 2 years, probably. I'm still below 50, hit the road, did the thing.
And so was it as easy as you thought it was going to be?
Oh, no. And then I couldn't tune a guitar. I couldn't stand, I couldn't do any of the things, Yeah. But I had already committed myself. So I made a decision. And it's really the only time in my life I've ever done this. I just made a decision that this is my line in the sand. And I'm doing it, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not going to quit on this.
Best decision you ever made.
Things. Quit, relationships and whatever. But this was going to be the one thing I was going to stick to. But no, it didn't turn out. It's in a sense, it's easy if you have the right attitude. Mm-hmm. But I had the wrong attitude for a long time. And that was the difficulty. Well, I had the attitude of, I want to be really successful. I'm really successful. And I want to be really good. And then years went by and neither of those. It was really starting to weigh on me, And then I had a crisis point where I almost quit a gig. Switzerland. I was just like, fuck it. I quit. And walk off the stage. Which to me is that's the biggest sin a performer could do. And I was about to commit it. I didn't quite do it. I sort of did it. And at the end of the gig, then my band came around and said, look, you can't. You're the band leader. You brought us over here. You can't quit. And then I felt, apologized.
Was this early on?
6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, really? So it's been kind of still up and down for you.
Yeah. But
Have you
then
have
after
you have you settled
that,
though? Are you have you kind of got a better frame of mind on it now?
oh yeah. Then after that, then I was like, okay, you're gonna keep doing this. What's the one part of it that you can have that's not dependent on anything outside stuff, fun. So, so it's like, okay, I'm just going to dedicate myself. And then once I did that, then, I think I started actually improving in an overall sense of just like, I'm just here to have fun and believing that if I'm having fun, I can make whatever few people are there have fun too. But the idea is let's have some fun.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's
and as a goal, it's like, and if you don't, it's like, oh, I didn't achieve my goal. We didn't have fun. So what? It's like, it's like not the stakes. I just brought the stakes down really low.
That's always the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lower the expectations.
Lower the fucking thing, I got it down. I thought I was as low as I could go, and then I started trying to book like an open mic night and locally here. Oh my God, I'm doing open mic. I'm standing in line with 30 other people to play one song in a bar. So I never thought I would get that low. Then I'm like, fuck it. If you're gonna get low, you got to get really low. It's like it's like there's a level below that. I guess I'm not sure what it is.
Probably getting turned away from the open mic night.
Getting booed off the stage at open mic.
So there's still room to maneuver in there for you.
Yeah, as long as it stays fun.
So, but for a guy who, if your only goal is to, have fun and enjoy yourself, but you're obviously more dedicated than that. If you've already got another album in the can, and if you're writing songs as much, as often, as fast as you do, I mean, you've got to have something more, something more going on, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't given up on the idea of make it successful, famous and all that, but I just feel like it's just like out of my hands.
Right.
It's like I've done everything that I know how to do. I was on a record label. I've had reviews. I've played, I've done all the stuff. So now it's just a matter of just something weird happened but I can't, that can't be the thing.
Right.
That my happiness is built on.
Did you regret that you didn't start earlier? Do you think?
Yeah.
Because you're talking about most people's career being their late teenage, early 20s years. Do you think you would have written good songs back then? Because it seems to me that a lot of the quality of your songs is based on your experience and your knowledge and the kind of things that come into the head of a guy your age as opposed to a kid.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if I would have been a songwriter. I mean, when I think about doing it when you're young, I just think about the cliches of getting in the van and drunk, and I don't really think of it in terms of good music. I just think of that would have been a lot of fun back in the day, but it might have been too much fun. I was having a little bit too much fun already. That might have been so. I don't regret starting that late, as long as I can live to be about 85. Because it'll take me that long just to even out the fucking. I regret the fact that a lot of people got a big head start on me. I feel like that's why I've been pretty prolific in the sense of like
making up for lost time.
I catch up with when Bob Dylan started when he was whatever, 21 or 19 or something.
Talking about playing live, I know you've been able to do some of it recently. How's it been? Is it is it just weird now and different than it used to be with all the COVID restrictions and all that, or are gigs?
No, when we went out, and we were going down south, so
Oh, yeah, okay.
we were in Mississippi when Mississippi was spiking, and nobody was wearing a mask, and nobody was, very few people. So it was like, I mean, we did, you take them on and off, but it was great. I had more fun on these last two little tours that I've ever had in my life touring.
Why?
I think part of it was just being so great, It's like I love doing it always. It's like it had been a big stretch without doing anything. So I had a sense of gratitude. Just like, we did a gig in North Carolina. It was about 50 degrees at night outside, 14 people. I was so stoned I could hardly stand up. But it was just like, this is great, man.
Yeah, and I guess people are happy.
I'm grateful that I could do that. Yeah, there were, there were some people that were responsive, but it's like, I don't care. It's just it's just be able to fucking do it.
Yeah. So another album to put out this year, and you want to get back on the road. Anything else on your to-do list for 2022?
Well, I'm doing a lot of drawings and stuff we've been selling. Like I've been doing custom. I did a bunch of custom Mother's Day postcards. So I'm trying to like revive the postcard market. Because it's there's so much not, somebody's in, sends you a email from the United States. Hey, how you do, But if you got a nice postcard, it would mean a lot more. The analogness of it, it's just so much more personal. And it's easy to do, man. You just get, I mean, that was I used to, before the internet, that was a big thing. You go to Europe, buy a postcard and send them back. Here's a postcard from Germany.
And your prices are really low.
That market.
Yeah, I saw on your website for your art, your prices are really low. I would have thought you'd be charging more than that.
It's hard to say on that kind of shit, because I mean, sea painting went for $18 billion. It's like, gosh, is it that much better than this other one? Went for $2 million. It's just what the market would bear. Like if I suddenly got extremely famous, if I was like David Bowie, like something all of a sudden, it's just like Johnny Depp goes fucking viral, then the prices of all that art would go way up.
Sure.
So I figure the prices are pretty commensurate with my level. Definitely if I get more famous, all my prices will be going up.
So buy now is this
That's what I'm saying. Buy now, sell on eBay later.